Tonight, America's epidemic of child sex exploitation. If you are a parent, you need to watch what we're going to tell you right now. We're talking about innocent teens sold for sex right here at home to men looking to buy young women. One hub of this ghastly sex trade is Portland, Oregon. Saturday, protesters actually took to the streets in Portland demanding a stop to the supply and a stop to the demand. This isn't something going on only in exotic foreign lands. It's happening right here in the U.S. of A. Young female runaways who leave troubled homes, or maybe not troubled homes. They just run away. They're approached by pimps within minutes, quickly taken into bondage. Listen to this woman describe her sex slave nightmare.
Then I was forced out 7 days a week from 8 o'clock at night till 5 o'clock in the morning to earn money at an average of about 15 dates a night. We figure it's over 1,000 dates in the summer of 1989.
We're going to meet that courageous woman in just a moment and hear about her escape from the sex trade. This battle of the war on women exists only because of an alarming number of buyers. Sick men with a depraved desire to have sex with these young, vulnerable girls. That is my big issue, supply and demand. I am taking your calls at home. The number is 1-877. JVM says that's 1-877-586-7297. And now straight to my incredible expert panel. We're delighted to have with us tonight Jerry Williams, the woman you just heard from, a survivor of the sex trade, a former prostitute who is courageously speaking out tonight about her nightmare. We're also delighted to have with us Nola Brantley, also a survivor of the sex trade. She is the co-founder of Missy, an organization dedicated to helping children and teens who have been sold into prostitution so they don't have to go through what Nola went through. And we're also honored to have with us Cathy Standiford, president of the board of directors for Soroptimist, which is a fantastic organization of professional women, women in business, which supports the fight against the war on women. We have Dr. Dale Archer, noted clinical psychiatrist who is becoming an expert in this field, and by phone, Bradley Lockhart and Drew Kessie. Thank you both, gentlemen. Both of you are dads who believe your daughters were victims of human trafficking. Oh, so much to talk about, but we want to start with Jerry. First of all, Jerry, thank you for having the courage to tell your story straight up. I know it's got to be difficult. Tell us about your lowest point, what you were forced to do, and how you got out.
Thank you, Jane, and thank you for coming out to the Pacific Northwest to our conference this last weekend. It was a great turnout. In the summer of 1989, I had moved to Portland after leaving an abuser husband, and got involved, basically got trafficked by a pimp who was involved with gangs, and walked 82nd Avenue every night the summer of 1989 until I was stabbed and left for dead by a trick in southeast Portland. It was at that point where I had two small children, and while I didn't have enough self-esteem to value myself, I got away for the sake of my children. So in many ways, my children saved my life.
Wow. Well, I was just so shocked at the numbers. I mean, the numbers that I'm looking at. Every 2 minutes, a child is being prepared for sexual exploitation. The average victim is forced to have sex up to 40 times a day. The average age of a trafficked victim is 14 years old, even younger in some countries. Tonight's big issue, supply and demand. Over the weekend, as you just heard from Jerry, I attended with Jerry a sex trafficking conference in Portland, Oregon. I talked to the protesters demanding the U.S. government put an end to human sex trafficking. One demonstrator, a concerned dad, spoke about the root of the problem. Why are men looking for these young women?
Boy, I wish I had a great answer for that question. Why are they looking? There's some philosophical reasons, there's spiritual reasons, emptiness, but they just are looking to fill whatever hole they have in their life.
Yeah, it's an addiction, really. It's
an addiction, just like any other kind of addiction that plagues our country right now.
Congrats to that dad concerned dad who's just out there protesting because he doesn't want to see this ever happen to his precious daughter. The Coalition Against Trafficking in Women reports American sex buyers are all ages, men 15 to 90. These men come from all socioeconomic classes. The majority of users of the sex trade, are you sitting down, people? In the United States, married men. Get this, almost half expect sex without condoms. And when the women resist, the men often become abusive. 86% of these exploited women were subjected to physical violence and sexual assault. Dr. Dale Archer, you also attended the conference with me. What is going on with these American male buyers? What is happening that this many men are seeking this much inappropriate sexual contact with very young women?
I agree with you, Jane. It's absolutely an addiction. And you know, the numbers are just so staggering. And I think that the biggest problem we're facing here is people in America don't understand this. They don't understand that 200,000 estimated per year. To put that in perspective, there are about 400,000 people living with AIDS in America today, and everybody knows about AIDS. Everybody knows about safe sex. Everybody understands that. The only way we're going to solve this problem is to get the word out and to pound it over and over, because studies have shown that to get something new and unique out and understood so that people will act on it, they have to be exposed to it 20 times. So we have to do this over and over and over, and people will understand, and eventually they'll say, we're not going to stand for it, and then the laws will be changed and things will be addressed in order to solve this. But it is just a huge problem, and it's not talked about.
Cathy Standiford, you are president of the board of the Soroptimist. When I went out to Portland this past weekend, I didn't even know what I said, what? Now I find out this is an incredible organization of businesswomen who are dedicated to helping young girls. You have 700 chapters in the United States. I'm going to join. I know that here in New York. What are you doing to fight this? Because you helped organize this conference.
Yeah, we actually are trying to focus on a number of fronts. Raising awareness, which Dr. Archer has just pointed out is really, really important. And our members throughout the United States and the other 18 countries in our organization are raising awareness. We're also doing some things to try to assist victims by providing women and vulnerable girls with educational opportunities and economic opportunities so that they're not as likely to be lured into trafficking.
You're right about that, because what happens is that they are either they don't have money. Nola Brantley, you're a survivor, is what I should call it, of the sex trade, and now you're the co-founder of Missy, an organization to help these girls. What are usually the conditions, Nola? What were your conditions that got you caught up in this?
Well, Jane, I would say that my conditions were very, very similar to a lot of the victims that we see through Missy. Their conditions of poverty, their conditions of earlier childhood sexual abuse, their conditions of a lack of care and supervision, in reasons ranging from parents that just need to work to support families that are single parents, all the way up into parents that are suffering from mental illness and parents that are incarcerated, just absent parents allowing for perpetrators to target
How old were
their
you?
children.
Answer this question. How old were you, Nola, when you were forced onto the streets in this sex trade? Age?
Now, when I was sexually exploited, I was 15 years old, and it lasted for several years. And my exploitation was very unique because it happened at the hands of a police officer. So every child and every woman that's sexually exploited is not walking the street corner as a prostitute.
Soroptimist is the solution, people. And I'll tell you why. It's an amazing framework that's already in existence. And we can just get together as women and the men who love them and join forces, flex our muscle, and demand change. Are we ready to demand change? I was in Portland accepting that award, the Soroptimist Ruby Award for Women Helping Women. That was happening in Portland, Oregon over the weekend. It was an honor, but I also learned a lot. I sat there and learned about all this horror at this sex trafficking conference. 200,000 American children at high risk for trafficking into the sex industry every year. The average age of entry into the prostitution world, 12 to 13 years of age. We have so many courageous people on this show tonight. I want to go to some parents who have lost children and who fear that this is what is responsible. Drew Kessie, your beautiful daughter, Jennifer Kessie, went missing, just vanished without a trace. Do you think there's a connection, sir, to this sex trafficking horror?
I truly believe that there's the opportunity for that to have happened with Jennifer. Jennifer has truly vanished. You can speak to FBI, ICE, any local police officer that's working on the case, detectives. We are no farther along from day one. And to me, when you look at things logically, if nothing is used, nothing is found of Jennifer's or any young lady that happens to be abducted, and there's no chatter on the street, bail bondsmen don't hear anything, drug dealers don't hear anything, that lends itself logically, I think, to say that it's someone from out of the area and trafficked someone out.
What a nightmare. Drew, we have been following your story. We here on Issues have sworn that we're not going to let people, the cops, the powers that be, forget about your precious daughter. And that's why when I was getting that award, I've been a reporter for 30 years, and I had no knowledge of the extent of this trafficking problem. That's why when I got back, I said, we got to do a show about this, because this is affecting American girls and some boys, but mostly American girls. And what about little 5-year-old Shania Davis? Okay, the theory behind her murder, she was being sold into prostitution. Take a look at this. Cops say this chilling surveillance video shows her being carried into a hotel by the last man to see her alive. They suspect he was part of look at that child. They suspect he was part of a conspiracy to sell her into prostitution. That man, Mario McNeil, reportedly the ex-boyfriend of Shania's aunt, has been charged with first-degree murder and first-degree rape of a child. Shania's mother, Antoinette Davis, charged with human trafficking and child abuse involving prostitution. We have with us tonight Brad Lockhart. Thank you so much, sir, for being part of this dialogue. As Shania's dad, I am sure it never crossed your mind for a moment ever that something this horrific could happen to your own daughter, allegedly at the hands of her own mother.
Absolutely not.
What can we do about this?
I believe it's very important that we unite not only as a community and neighborhoods, but as a country, because the numbers are very staggering. Like you've mentioned before, 12 to 13-year-old girls being prostituted, as well as over 200,000 being exploited throughout the United States, only just within the United States. I believe that we need to set up programs. We need to set up assistance programs for these women, these children, somewhere where they can have an outlet to go to.
But is it also possible that we need to? Everything's intertwined, as far as I'm concerned. So there was reports that there was a concern that Shania's mother had been involved in some way, shape, or form in drugs. I think that drugs also allows people to do the unimaginable, and it destroys the maternal instinct. So when we tackle this problem, Brad, don't we have to also tackle the drug issue?
Absolutely. I think it goes a lot further than just the drugs. I believe it goes into our systems. I mean, a lot of the like, for instance, Antoinette, Shania's mother, from my understanding, she was utilizing the system, and the system, I'm not going to say failed her, but failed me and failed Shania. We need to reach out, and we need to support our systems. We need to get the system working for us instead of us working for the system, paying into a system that's failing the communities and failing the individuals that actually don't take advantage of it.
Nola Brantley, 10 seconds. Are drugs intertwined with this problem?
Absolutely, and the story of this young lady who my heart goes out to is very common. So many children that we've seen through Missy over the years started off being sexually exploited by someone in their own family before they were even 10 years old.